Hey, it's Brian with another great DIY eCover tutorial again. This time is a combo eCover using Cover Actions Premium. Similarly as I mentioned in previous tutorial, preferably it will help and facilitate some productivity if you have some basic knowledge of Photoshop and Actions. Alright, before we start, let us look at this Cover Action Premium's website. Okay, this is the website for Cover Actions Premium. What I like about this software, this particular service, is that it contains a lot of new Photoshop actions every month, and this can be seen from the dates of the updates that this author has been updating all this while. Alright, and this is a software that requires you to only pay once, and you can get a lot of free catalog updates forever. At the same time, all of these comes with high resolution, beautiful graphics, which you can use at a click of an action. Alright, for this tutorial today, I'm using a combo DIY eCover downloaded from this Cover Actions Premium site. So if you have a set of 4 products eCovers, this action will just suit you fine for your needs. Alright, let us start with loading the action script. Alright, this is the default Photoshop interface. Now I'm going to click on the Actions panel and load this particular action that we're going to use. Alright, so this is the Actions panel. Let us click on this menu and select Load Actions. So Load Actions, these are some of the actions that I've downloaded from the website, and this is the one that we're going to use it for our tutorial today. So all I need to do is just load this particular action with the extension .atm, and now it's in my Actions panel. If you twiddle on the triangular side, you're able to see 2 options here, and we're going to start with the starter template. First thing, we're going to select, alright, and we're going to click on the play button to execute this particular action to create a file in Photoshop. So once this template is created, there will be a message pop-up box to inform you that it has finished doing the actions. Alright, so just click Stop. Okay, as you can see here, basically these are the template for 4 DVD cases with the DVD disc plus 1 menu transcript. Alright, so this is the default. Let us look at the image itself that is created by going to Image, Image Size. And if you look at the document size under resolution, this is a 300 dpi file. And the width and the height, if you go by the cm, which is seen here, is 84, almost 85 by 33 cm, which is relatively huge, and this is a size for printing. Which means to say this particular layout size is ideal for high resolution printing. Whatever you created will be high res enough for printing. Okay, let us just click close or click OK to close this image size. Next thing, we're going to go to the layers panel in Photoshop. Observe how the layers are being created using this template. Basically, you have a background that's showing you how the template graphics are created. This is only serving as a guide. And on top of these, if you check and uncheck, this is basically also a default template created. So for the background and the border guide, we need not have to bother by them because these are basically static. All we need to do is to focus our attention on this layer 1, which is blank at this point. So we're going to create some graphics under this layer 1. I'm going to compress them into one layer and execute the second step of the action. Alright, so let us close off this layers panel. So basically that is step 2. Now come to step 3. We're going to create some graphics, namely the titles, subtitles, and images. Well, how do you do that? Basically, you need to start your research on your 4 combo DIY e-covers. You need to plan what to promote on the e-covers. If you have observed my last post, I talk about guidelines on what to put on your e-covers. So you need to carefully research based on your market niche and keywords for the titles, etc. So once done, lay out in Photoshop or any other image editing program you're familiar with. Step 4. Once you've completed, we're going to merge the layers. And now I'm going to show you a file that I have already created beforehand. I'm going to open my file now. In this particular file, okay, let me actually stack the order, tiling it. As you can see here, if I select this file and I click on the layers, basically I've created different layers all stacked up in a folder. So based on the empty layer, I actually created additional graphics that I researched on my market niche. But I want to emphasize that what you're seeing here is basically a demo. I just want to show you how I actually created the graphics in multiple layers and compressed one later on. Basically, they are the same. So at this stage, what you need to do is prepare your graphics. If I zoom in, prepare your title and your subtitle. So these are the supporting graphics that you need to come up with, and there is the manual transcript. So once you've created all these graphics into different folders, basically what you need to do is you merge them into one layer and paste it back into the template. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to show you how I am going to do that. So selecting based on the graphics that I've created, because here we have a lot of layers and folders, I'm going to compress them into one layer. So before I do that, I need to go to Image, Duplicate. Because in this case, I do not want to accidentally overwrite my original file, so I'm going to duplicate one. I'm going to merge, but I'm not going to merge everything, so I'm going to leave this option off. I just click OK. So now I have a new file created exactly like the original. However, selecting this file, I'm going to compress or merge all the layers and folders into one. So what I do is I click this layer 2, shift click on my keyboard, then I go to the menu on top under layers panel and click or select merge layers. Shortcut is Ctrl E. So in this case now, this particular file will have the same layer as my template. So all I need to do is select this particular layer, copy and paste it into this particular layer. You see the difference now? It's exactly the same in terms of layout. You just have to make sure that in terms of your alignment and margin and your graphics, it should not go out of the border guide as suggested here. So now I'm going to close this off because I do not need them anymore. No. And this is my original file. I'm going to close it without saving as well. Make sure that all the layers are selected, or else you're going to encounter problem when you're executing the step 2 of the action. Now we're going to close off the layers panel. We're going to go back to our actions panel. So instead of clicking on the starting template, we're going to click on the render 3D and we click on the play button now. And we shall wait for the action to complete for the part 2. the action has ended, so there will be a message informing that it has already completed. And here, basically, it helps you to recognize that this is an action that comes under Cover Actions Premium. Let us close this by clicking the stop. Let us close this and we go back to the Layers panel and observe how the action has created for us. As you can see here, all these layers are packed nicely into individual folders and color-coded for your referencing. You can easily alter any of these graphics by adding, refractions, shadows, or highlights on the graphics itself. You can do additional editing on this file. But in this case, what we're going to do is basically the action has been completed. It's that easy. But now I'm going to extend this tutorial a little bit by adding a background. As you can see here, the background is totally white in the Layers panel. So basically, you can create a background or you can download a background from any stock libraries, or even you can create on your own. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to show you how I'm going to pick a background image. Basically, it has to be seamless because you need to tile over this particular white space in order to create illusion of a desktop or something that you place it on the floor, because this particular angle, you'll be seeing like all these products have been laid down on a floor. This iStock photo. Now I'm going to tell you the difference between a seamless texture and a normal texture. A normal texture, if example of such, you're going to use it for the background, it will not create a good effect on the background. I'm just going to illustrate to you later. If I use a seamless texture, as in the case if I key in the words searching for a seamless texture, this graphics or background will actually give you a more appropriate result. So now we're going to move over back to Photoshop. You can uncheck and check to see the difference here. Okay, now I'm going to open the image that I've shown you in iStock photo. Okay, basically I've already downloaded. Okay, here we are. As this is only a preview image, it's going to be very, very small. So if we're going to tile it under this big particular image or composite that I already created for the 4 combo ecover, it's going to be very small. Hence, don't expect very fantastic results. Okay, now I'm going to actually do a rotate of the wood texture photo by going to Image Rotation, anti-clockwise. Okay, now with this image selected, I'm going to select or define a pattern. What we go to is Edit Define Pattern. This is basically to a dialog box asking you to save the name for the texture. I just click OK. And the next thing, I'm going to select back this main image. Make sure your background image is selected. And then I'm going to edit, fill the background. And the fill dialog box itself, click on the custom pattern. Make sure that in terms of its used content, you're selecting a pattern, because by default it's either a foreground color or a background color. So now I'm going to select a pattern. Once you select a pattern, you're going to customize it by selecting those options that you have created earlier. Select on this image and just click OK. Alright, this is a result of a normal texture, one that doesn't have seam at its sides. So if I zoom in, as the background image is very small, when I zoom in, you're going to see this ugly result where the sides are not seamless and you're going to have difficulty creating a suitable background image for this particular composite. Hence, with a normal texture like this, it is not suitable to use. Alright, so I'm going to show you an example that I have downloaded that is a seamless texture, and you'll create a very nice tiling across the background. Now I'm going to open up another texture. This texture is basically much more original. It's much more high-res than the preview image that you have seen just now. So if I click on the image size, you can see that this is much of a higher resolution and dimension. And the other thing to note that when you are selecting a background texture for your e-covers, make sure that it is homogeneous. Regardless of which corner or sides you're looking at, the color, the tone, everything is consistent. These are the prerequisites that you should look for a seamless background image. So now I'm going to define this pattern and fill it onto the background so that you see the result. Edit, define pattern, save the pattern right inside the Photoshop library. I don't need this anymore, I'm going to close. So now coming back to this, what I need to do is I will just click on Edit and Fill again. This time, instead of selecting the old one, I'm selecting this new texture. Once I click OK, this is what you see. If I zoom in a little bit more, this is what I call seamless texture result for the background. So there's a little bit of knowledge required when selecting your background for your e-covers. Basically, the action is all done. Now I just want to add on and make this image a little bit more unique and a little bit more 3D. You see, these products are all in basically 3D with some, if I zoom in, they are basically all high-res enough. You still can read the text well. Nice graphics. However, because the background texture is homogeneous, it's basically very even, in real life you don't see a background or image with the same level of tone. So I'm going to enhance the overall feel by making a little bit of light on the desktop itself. Alright, as this image is relatively big, as you can see here, in terms of the width and height, I'm going to resize the image down. Before that, I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to merge all the layers into one this time. So once you have created the master file, remember to save it, and then you work on your duplicate copy. And then now I'm going to resize this particular image because I don't need such a high resolution. Okay, instead of the height of 6,000 pixels, I'm going to narrow down to only 1,000 pixels in order for quicker work. Enlarge this. Okay, before that, let me close this. Now we have a full view. Now I'm going to use a crop because I find that the areas on the left and right are a little bit of excess. So I'm going to use my crop tool and crop away the redundant areas. Once I find OK, I just double click. Okay, the next tip I'm going to show you is to add a little bit of light on the background or the desktop itself as an image as a whole. So what I do is, now I already have merged everything in one and resize it. So I'm going to go to Filter, Render, Lighting Effects. So basically, we're going to add a little bit of light on this desktop. You can either choose the color that you want here. So I'm going to choose white, which is already selected. In terms of intensity for the light, I'm going to select a value of only 15. So if yours is not 15, you can just customize it to 15 or any number that you like. The most important here is the style. Alright, by default it's not 2 o'clock spotlight, so make sure you select this particular style that I'm showing you, and that's about it. You don't need to change any other options. This is basically the preview. However, the preview might be too small. So I'm going to click the OK button and see the result. By adding a little bit of light, now we create more interesting effect on the desktop itself. So with this is the end of this tutorial. Cover Action Premiums are very good at creating combo e-covers. Especially with a click of an action, you can execute your artwork very quickly in the shortest possible time. Creating DIY e-covers can be easy and fast with Cover Actions Premium. If you're keen to explore this service, please check on the link below and see for yourself how it can help you tremendously in creating your own realistic DIY e-covers. And I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you!